it's kind of similar to what they would eat in the wild, right? We have some squash here, we have some zucchini, we have some peaches, it looks like, carrots, tomatoes, so all plant material that's here. Okay, when the animal comes out, I just want a little bit of a reminder. How should we be? Raise your hand, because I think we'll try to do that while the animal's out. Raise our hand and tell me what's one thing that we need to do when the animal comes out. What's that? Be really loud or really quiet? Yes, quiet. And what was the other thing? We said it outside. Quiet and calm. You got it. So the more comfortable the animal is, the longer we'll be able to take a look at it, okay? Question? We're not going to pet it, but I will have some things, probably with the timing of stuff, I'll probably have some things as you head out that you'll be able to touch and take a closer look at, okay? And we'll talk about that when we do it. Okay. Oh, I'm going to wait. So, boy, I know you just came on a bus all the way from Rochester, and now you're here, and now you're sitting again. We're asking you to be quiet. But you'll be able to be not quiet when you leave this classroom. So just for the next little bit, to take a look at these animals, let's really enjoy that, being quiet and calm. Cool? We can do it. I'm going to leave the door open, so just be how you are right now.
Chicken wings. Oh, it's lucky. It's a monkey. Oh my God.
Nice job being quiet and calm. Okay, so the question is not what animal is this? That's obvious, right? The question is, what community do you think it spends most of its time? It's one of those 5 that we talked about in the very beginning. All right, so what community does it spend most of its time? Tell me. In the forest, absolutely. And living in a forest, it would benefit you to be able to eat. Remember, stay nice and quiet. However, the animal is, enjoy that. Enjoy what it's doing up here, but try to be nice and quiet and calm. So they are living in a forest. And it really benefits them because they can eat every part of a tree. They don't only eat trees. We see some of the other stuff up here that they're eating, but they eat every part of the tree. So they can eat the leaves right now. That's really great for them because they're nice fresh leaves, or even the fresh shoots that are growing right now on the end of the branches. They will eat fruits and nuts and berries that are growing on those trees when that time comes. And even in the winter, they'll eat buds on the ends of the trees. They can climb all the way out to the end of the branch, tilt that branch back, and eat those buds off the tree. But that's not even the best part. They can eat underneath the bark of the tree. And to do that, you need some pretty tough and sharp teeth, right? So these sharp teeth in the front help them be able to get through that bark and eat a part of the tree called the cambium layer. Now, cambium might sound like a fancy word to you, but I bet most of you have seen the cambium layer of a tree before. I know when I was your age, I'd ride my bike through the woods, and I'd sometimes accidentally scrape my handlebar on the bark, and there was a little green layer of that tree. Have you seen that before? Green part of it? However you scrape the tree on accident. Yeah, that's the cambium layer. It's one cell thick, but yet you can see that green layer. That is producing new tree. So it's very nutrient rich. Lots of good energy in that part of the tree. Then they have back teeth back here to help them kind of chew up that plant material, which has a cell wall, so you don't have to learn about that yet, but hard to digest, so they start digesting it right away. So they eat every part of a tree. Now, in the spring right now, I've seen them out a lot eating clovers and dandelions. Clovers and dandelions grow in fields. So they do visit fields certain times of the year. So they don't just stay in a forest, but they do spend most of their time in a forest. Now, if you're living in a forest, in order to stay away from predators, you might actually use the trees kind of as shelter. Now that could be a dead tree that's hollow on the inside, so they could crawl up into that hollow tree and stay there and get out of some of the colder weather. Or you might climb up in that tree and just be higher up off the ground. Why would you want to be higher up off the ground? Not just for food. We know to get food, because we know they eat all the different parts of the tree. Why else would you want to be higher up off the ground? Let's see here. Tell me. Yeah, okay, you said it. So predators, right? So to stay away from animals like coyotes or fox, that can't really climb very well. So they are up in those trees. That keeps them safe from predators, provides them with a lot of food that they need. So they're all set up there. So food, shelter, done. In the winter, however, they stay active, and they do like to find some better shelter than just up in a tree. That's not great for warmth. Keeps them away from predators, not great for warmth. So they will find rock crevices, those hollow logs that I mentioned before. My neighbor, they don't live there in the winter, so they live underneath their house, and I see their trails come out from there all the time. It's kind of fun to go check it out. So they are finding shelters, rock kind of caves and stuff like that. They're finding those types of shelters there. All right, so food we know, shelter, check, we got that. Those are probably the most interesting things for the porcupine. And I know that there are a lot of questions out there, so I want to save some time for those questions. So let's dive right into it. Okay, so let's just double check though. So we got the forest community, and we know how it meets food and shelter for sure. So let's talk about other things maybe as they come up in questions, because porcupines are pretty neat. Here's a shelter, right, in the winter. Forgot I had that in there. So shelter in the winter, they can kind of come out. And, oh, maybe someone's going to ask about that. What do you think? Any questions out there? I thought so. Let's start right here. What is what? That's a porcupine. What, you mean that picture? Okay, so here, this is the tip of a quill. Have you heard of quills before?
No.
Yes. So porcupines have 5 types of fur. Most of the black fur that you see, that's underfur. That just keeps them warm. They have a second type of fur right here. These are guard hairs. You can see I'm like several inches from its actual body, and it can feel me. You can see it reacting to me touching those guard hairs. They have whiskers. Guard hairs and whiskers help them feel their way through areas. You know, if you're crawling through this area, you might want to be able to feel your way along. So those guard hairs and whiskers help them do that, because they don't have hands like we do to feel their way along, because they're walking with them, right? Can't do that. And then they have a fur underneath their tail. Go back to this picture. Look at this tail. It's leaning right up against that tree, almost like a kickstand. The fur underneath their tail is kind of like the carpet that you're sitting on. It's really good at helping it not rub the skin a little raw when they prop their tail up like a kickstand against the rough bark of the tree. And that gives them some extra balance, so they're not just hanging there the whole time. The 5th type of hair that they have are the quills. And quills, check this out. A prehistoric porcupine quill here. I'm just kidding, it's made out of wood. But this is what a quill would look like if we made it really big. And I want you to notice a couple things. What color is this? Black. What color is this? White. Black and white in nature. When an animal is colored that way, think about a skunk. Right? That's a warning coloration. That's saying, hey, stay back, don't come any closer. I don't want you to come closer because I don't want you to hurt me, and I don't want you to come closer because you might get sprayed from a skunk, or you might get these quills stuck in you if you're a porcupine like this is. So those barbs, that picture on the right, are here, right? Little bumps that point back the opposite direction, kind of like a fish hook has barbs. So if this goes into something, doesn't come out very easily, grabs hold. And in fact, it'll keep kind of working its way in as well. But the root of the hair is very small and skinny and smooth compared to the rest of the quill especially, right? So it comes out of the porcupine very easily. But here's the thing, and I appreciate your help with this, because a lot of people come here and they say, oh, they can shoot their quills. which I'm really glad that they can't because they have 30,000 quills, right? That'd be a lot of, I don't see any in the ceiling though, so I think we're safe from them shooting the quills. And another way to think about that, can you shoot your hair? No. Sometimes our uncles or dads might look like they shot their hair one time, but we can't shoot our hair, they can't shoot their quills, so now you can help me spread that message that porcupines don't actually shoot their quills. If your dog comes home with quills stuck in it, it's because it came in contact with the porcupine, with those quills. They also have this tail back here, which they can, whack things with like a little bat, and it's very powerful.
Like a stegosaurus.
They are well suited to defend themselves, for sure. But remember, they try to warn those animals to stay away from the very beginning. A big reason, I have to tell you this, a big reason that they have to have those quills, this animal can only run top speed 4 miles per hour. You could briskly outwalk a porcupine, right? So they need to have some extra protection because they can't run away from predators, especially like a coyote that can run 35 miles per hour. They're not gonna go around. Yeah.
With most animals, when they have color toggle, it's bright colors. They're at their poisonous, so they're hurt.
Exactly. Yeah, so if they're bright colors or a certain color pattern, think about bees or, something that's really bright red, monarch butterflies, those kinds of things. They might taste bad, they might make you feel kind of sick if you did eat them. And so that makes you remember them, so that next time you see that coloration, you might not eat them. All right, yeah.
I noticed that it eats certain kind of food.
Yeah, right? It's not such a carrot fan or a zucchini fan right now.
Is it adorable?
I noticed that too. Yeah. Yeah.
What's that white stuff?
This stuff? These are wood shavings. So it just helps, helps reduce. You smell that, by the way? Helps reduce that smell a little bit when it's cleaned up later on. Yeah.
My dog's black and white, so that means I now can't touch him.
Okay.
I know I can't touch it.
I hope so.
I'll send you it.
Yeah.
Actually, if your dog actually goes to the back of it, like if they were trying to sniff, like if they were communicating with other dogs, they sniff their butts. If actually the tail would actually have quick reflex coming up and hitting the quills on the dog's nose.
Yep. Yeah, so sometimes your dog might be just a little bit too curious or trying to defend its territory or something like that. It might not be that the dog was attacking the porcupine. It also could be that the dog was trying to go after the porcupine, depending on your dog, right? But is it the porcupine's fault that your dog got quilled?
No.
No.
Actually,
It could be the owner's fault or it could be the dog's fault, whatever, but
or it could be
yeah.
both.
Last 2 questions here, 1 and 2. Go ahead, yep.
I wondered how you get the porcupine into the box without touching it.
Oh, you wonder. I know, I wonder too. Yeah.
Did you, to put the porcupine in there, did you use a tool to use it, or did you
You're curious about this, huh?
take gloves to touch it
Well,
with a hand?
sometimes it takes a little bit of patience, and sometimes it takes a little bit of coaxing. So that's all. But sometimes a little food, or one of its favorite toys, or whatever too, something like that. So quiet and calm. So, like I said, if we're going to be noisy, that might make it a little bit more difficult for it to go in there. And we don't want to try to stress the porcupine out. This porcupine has another program later on too. So we'll let him finish whatever he's snacking on for a second.
Jeremy, I heard there's one New Hampshire animal that can successfully hunt porcupines.
Well, I think there's probably more than one, but there's one that's better at it than the rest. Yeah, if we put it that way.
Sure.
So things that might try to eat a porcupine, like a coyote, fox, bobcat, they might be successful on occasion, but it's going to be very risky. Do you know what it is?
I do.
Oh, do you want
What
to
is
say
it?
Did any kids have a guess?
Shark.
Raise your hands. Rayleigh, what's your guess? No, not in New Hampshire. Is that Univan? What's your guess?
Mountain lion?
Well, not in New Hampshire. What's your guess? It's close. Do you guys know what a fisher is?
Yeah.
Yes, it's a type of fish.
It's not a fish. It's a mammal, but it's an animal that's adapted to attack from behind, right? And so
Yeah, so fisher, a lot of people say fisher cats, but fisher cats are these funny looking things that stand on two legs and hold bats in their hands. In New Hampshire, kind of made it difficult for us to teach about fisher, but they're not cats, they're weasels. So they're just called fisher. And fisher are really good at climbing trees.
Nice.
Do porcupines spend a lot of time in trees?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's going to be helpful for the fisher. The fisher will force that porcupine out to the edge of a branch, out a little bit further, out a little bit further. 25-pound porcupine, what's going to happen eventually?
It's gonna
It'll
snap.
fall. But here's the thing, if you climb trees a lot, you need to be able to take a fall. So the fall is not necessarily too bad, but that porcupine needs to hide its face. We didn't see it when it was out here, but porcupines don't have quills on their face, and they don't have quills on their belly either. So that is going to be the place that the fisher is going to try to get to. But the fisher's up in a tree, porcupine just fell. Porcupine, shakes stuff off like we saw at the beginning, no big deal. However, that fisher, its back feet can go like this, which helps it bound down the tree face first. So 3-4 bounds, it's down to the ground before that porcupine has a chance to do what it normally does, which is hide its face, right? And stick out those quills. So that fisher gets down there, it scratches and bites at the porcupine's face. The porcupine's trying to keep it to its back, but it's pretty quick. So eventually it'll grab it and flip it onto its back and eat it from its belly. Which sounds kind of sad because we're just looking at a porcupine, but it's good for the fisher, right? It's a pretty big meal, and something has to eat a porcupine. So fisher are good at eating porcupines. It's not their only thing that they go after. Is it still pretty risky for a fisher?
Yes.
Yeah, they could get killed.
Because what if the porcupine quickly turns around and they go face first into the spikes?
Right.
They're not quick.
Yeah, so, there's some risk to that fisher as well. I just want to get this semi-cleared off for not our next animal, but the animal after. Our next animal, I'm going to tell you what it is before we even see it. Because this, I'm going to give you a clue. This is tricky for our first question, which was what again? What
Community.
does it spend most of its time, right? Oh, I skipped. All right, so there's a preview for our last animal. But this next one is going to be a turtle. Here's the thing. There's 7 turtles in this state. There they are, right there, all 7. Right here, we have a snapping turtle, a painted turtle, and a musk turtle. These are the most common turtles that we have in this state, and all of them spend most of their time, raise your hand, in which community? What do you think? The water. They spend most of their time in water. However, if we look over here, all of these are species of special concern, by the way, so that's 4 out of 7 are uncommon and either endangered or special, some kind of special concern. This is box turtle right here. We have wood turtles, spotted turtles, and Blanding's turtles. I'm going to go through one at a time. Where do you think they spend most of their time? Water or other? Let's go water or other. Ready? I'm going to take a vote for each one individually. Hands down. This isn't. You're just going to say water or other. Let's see. Let's start at the bottom. Raise your finger. Water or other? This is a Blanding's turtle, and it spends most of its time in the water. Wow. Spotted turtle. Water or other? What do you think? Spotted. Spotted turtle. Water. Wood turtle. It's 50-50. So, and here, water or other? What do you think? Box turtle. Other. Mostly on land, 90% of the time on land. Okay, so we're going to take a look at one of these, and let's try to figure out what it is, and why it spends time where it spends time.
Turtle.
was one of the last two, so it's one of the top two on this picture for what type of turtle it is. This is a wood turtle. And wood turtle love meandering rivers, slow moving rivers that kind of have these big slow turns in them. So they love those big rivers like that. Sometimes they're found in streams too, but they're often found in the woods also. So they spend some of their time in water and some of their time on land. And the food that they go after are going to be both aquatic, water-based, or land-based. Summertime, raspberries, blackberries, blueberries, all of those different things. They would love to go and eat all of the different fruits that are available in midsummer. In the spring, so right about now, they're probably spending a good deal of their time in the water, going after insects that are underneath. We just got past May, so a lot of the mayflies are now adults, but in May and before in April, they're going to be down in the water eating the larvae of the mayflies, or the mayfly nymphs, or what they're called. They might eat dragonfly nymphs, which dragonflies spend most of their life underwater, if you didn't know that. So they're kind of neat. So all those aquatic insects, maybe some small fish, and those types of food that are there. When they're on land again, mushrooms, they would love to eat too. They love to eat dead animals, which some people want to say you to dead animals, but raise your hand if you eat dead animals. Yeah, as opposed to ones that are still alive, right? That's better. So dead animals, and anything, meat flies, that's slow moving, slugs, snails, those kinds of things that they could catch. So for them, sun kind of has a bit of a different tone to it than the other animals. The other animals need sun because that's what plants use to make food, and then they eat plants, and that's true here. But they're cold-blooded, and that does not mean that they walk around going shivering all the time, right? But it does mean that whatever the temperature is outside, that